Hello, everyone. Welcome to the morning show. We're broadcasting to you today on Channel 9 on WJOPLP Newburyport FM 96.3. We're also live streaming on Newburyport Community Media's YouTube channel at ncmhub.org. I'm your host, Mary Jacobsen, and I'm so happy to welcome you to today's show where we have two really interesting segments. First off, we're going to start with two representatives of the Newburyport Chamber Music Festival. Susan Swan and John Moreland are here, and they're going to talk to us about the amazing number of garden concerts that have been planned for the Chamber Music Festival. Back to live music again this year, yay. And then in the second segment of the show, we have three representatives of Tinkerhaus, the makerspace. Mary McDonald, Marcus Soule, and Eric Olson are here. But let's start with the Chamber Music Festival. So Susan Swan is here. She's clerk of the board. Susan, welcome. Thank you for coming to the morning show.
Thank you.
And John is treasurer of the Newburyport Chamber Music Festival. John, welcome. So great to see you and have you here.
Good morning, Mary. Glad to be here.
Wonderful. Well, you know, I'm a great fan of the Chamber Music Festival. I look forward to it all year, waiting for August. And congratulations. I know this is the 20th year for the Chamber Music Festival to be bringing live chamber music to Newburyport. And it's exciting to have live concerts again this year with a focus on garden concerts. So Susan and John, please fill us in on the highlights. I know there are 6 garden concerts planned between now and August 15th. I'd love to hear you talk about the venues and also the music. So whoever would like to begin.
Okay.
Yeah, John.
Well, good. I just want to say that even though having concerts outdoors this year is a little different than we had done it the first 18 years, last year when we were just starting out with how to deal with COVID, David Yang, our artistic director, decided to do something really interesting, which was basically go door to door in Newburyport, and we hit a number of neighborhoods, and we did kind of the summer version of Christmas caroling with
Yes.
a string quintet. So it really still ties into our whole theme of the Chamber Music Festival, which is to have community-based concerts and family events and things like that. But when David chooses the artists for each year's concerts, he not only looks at how they're great musicians, but he wants them to be friendly, outgoing people who can engage with members of the community as we go through the 2 weeks of having them practice and prepare for all the concerts.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Susan, you could tell us about some of the venues this year.
Sure. Well, first of all, I should say that our tickets are sold out now, except for one concert, which is our Custom House in the back Custom House concert. And that one will be very interesting. We've decided to dedicate it to veterans for the one of the reasons is because we are having a tubist, which we'll talk about later, who is from the Army Field Military Band. And he's an incredible tubist. John will talk a little bit about him. And he will be available to talk to the veterans about his experiences after the concert. We've invited we've made extra tickets available for veterans who might want to come, and we're giving those out free. And this concert is also just going to be $20 as opposed to the others, which are a bit higher. So that's the special venue that is still open, and I hope interested people will be able to join that concert. The other that just got sold out is the Mill River Valley concert in Rowley, and they have volunteered to host the concert and also provide, for a small fee, some drinks and some snacks. And there we will be outside enjoying the music. The others are in gardens across Newburyport area. There's one at the Amesbury Whittier House, and there are two in Newburyport, one actually right behind my house here on Washington Street. And then I should just get a listen with that one without even going. Gorgeous garden. And then there is one Eeks. John, where's the first one?
Well, we have our family concert, which is usually offered it's always offered for free, and that's at Patrick Tracy Square, right off of Pleasant Street in downtown Newburyport. And we like that because people will be going, they might have gotten dinner beforehand, or kids walking with ice cream cones, and they just get to stop and listen for a little while, and then they move on. But they'll be, the quartet will be doing a number of pieces there. So that's always a fun time, just to see people's reaction as they're walking down Pleasant Street and they hear this wonderful music.
Oh, absolutely. And it's such a great way to connect with the community and be part of it. And I'm always impressed at the creativity of finding ways, you know, to make sure that Chamber Music Festival can go on. Those pop-up concerts last year, the chamber music equivalent of Christmas caroling, were just wonderful. I was fortunate enough that they stopped by the condo complex where I live. And unfortunately, at one point it started to shower, to rain a little bit. And so understandably, one of the musicians had a 400-year-old instrument. And so it seemed fair for them to close up shop quickly.
Right.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But they sound like such beautiful venues, so wonderful.
Right. And Mary, I would say that don't let the fact that many of our concerts have already been sold out deter anyone from participating in the festival this year, because starting on August 7th, we're having a number of open rehearsals, practically one every day at St. Paul's Church. People can just drop in. They need to be masked for St. Paul's, but they just drop in and listen for a while, and then they can move along. All of our information is on our website, newburyportchambermusic.org. And besides the open rehearsals, there's a free panel discussion. All the open rehearsals are free, of course, as well as the family concert on Tuesday, August 10th.
Yeah, I just wanted to also say that we have a rain place thanks to Theater in the Open. So we are all doing sun dances. I think
yes.
they might work.
Everyone in Newburyport has been doing sun dances all summer.
Yeah. I think well, who knows? But we do have a tent provided at Mausley Park with Theater in the Open for any dire weather.
Good to know there's a backup plan.
Yeah.
If there was any summer when you needed one, it's been this summer, hasn't it? Yeah. But hopefully, fingers crossed. Is there anything that you'd like to tell us about some of the music that's going to be played?
Sure, I'd love to pitch in on that one. We're having Haydn, so a traditional classic composer. The audiences around here love Shostakovich. So we're having another Shostakovich, a Bach for solo violin, Partita number 2. One I'm excited about is Eugenie Sai, who Sonata number 3 is considered very difficult and very beautiful. And that's also for solo violin. And maybe the one I'm most excited about, because, and I don't know whether John agrees, is the Alban Berg quartet. It is beautiful.
Wonderful.
And David gave us a lecture yesterday in another garden, and he made it so interesting. It's about a love story. And you wouldn't think of that for Berg, but yeah, I'm very excited about that one. And then we have a world premiere by Ewazen. And David is also very clever and creative about finding people who will commission a performance. And so we'll talk a little bit about that later.
Okay. Well, this seems like a natural segue to talk about this year's composer in residence, Eric Ewazen. And tell us a little bit about Eric and the composition, the world premiere. It's always exciting to know that you're hearing something original that's being played for the first time in Newburyport. So tell us a little bit more about our composer in residence this year.
Well, Mary, he is really interesting. I didn't realize this until I read a little bit about him, but he is one of the foremost contemporary composers today, usually specializing in sonatas and concerti for brass.
Mm-hmm.
And he has had his compositions performed all over the world, mm-hmm. Including Tanglewood and Marlborough and St. Luke's Orchestra, some very, very prominent places. Here's something really interesting. I think it's his Symphony for Brass. Mm-hmm. The third movement, I found out, is the NPR theme for their NPR's political coverage.
Oh.
Who knew? So that's interesting. So that's about it. He has 5 sonatas. Great. He's done a quintet, and that's Eric.
Well, wonderful. Well, I also wanted you to talk about, I read about the, tuba virtuoso is just not something you hear about very often.
Exactly.
But I read that you'll be featuring a tuba virtuoso this year by the name of Scott Devereaux. And I believe you mentioned that in reference to the concert at the Custom House that will be featuring veterans. So tell us a little bit about our tuba virtuoso this year.
Well, yeah, this is just Scott Devereaux is just the latest in a long line of really interesting soloists that David brings to the concert each year. Everyone from steel pans to sitars to fiddles, you name it, choirs. But our guest this year is Scott Devereaux. He is a sergeant first class in the U.S. Army Field Band. And he has amazing background. He went to the University of Michigan and the Curtis Institute of Music in Pennsylvania. Before joining the Army 7 years ago, he had appeared as with the Philadelphia Orchestra and a number of other places. So he's really somebody that we're very lucky to have. There's no doubt about that. And the interesting thing about Scott, I watched a video that he made, is his approach to being a musician in the Army. He really says he takes pride in his job to serve with a tuba. That's what he does. He, like all other Army people, went through basic training. And so he had to do all the physical things that all of the Army people do and pass all those tests. And he views his job as really representing the Army to the people of the United States and to the families of those who are serving overseas. So he's kind of the bridge. And he says, here's a quote from him: "When we take the time to play music that connects us to veterans and the sacrifices they made, this is as powerful as it gets." So he's going to have an opportunity after the Custom House. As Susan mentioned, we're going to be honoring veterans and having veterans, providing tickets to them. He's going to have an opportunity to chat with them later after the concert and mingle that way. So he's very personable, and we're just really looking forward to having him as part of the festival. Not only is he going to be doing this world premiere, but believe it or not, he's going to be doing Rimsky-Korsakov's Flight of the Bumblebee on tuba. And there's an arrangement of Vivaldi's Winter from the Four Seasons that he's going to be playing also. So
wonderful.
If you go to any of the rehearsals, you may hear these things. So it's going to be really fun to have him.
That sounds very exciting, and I'm sure that will be really meaningful for the veterans to be able to not just hear him, but be able to talk to him and his very distinct and meaningful way of envisioning what he sees his role as. So thank you for
Yeah.
that, John. That's really interesting. Well, I'm curious to find out, what are each of you most looking forward to about the Chamber Music Festival this year? What are your personal, oh, gee, I can't wait. So,
Go to it,
Susan?
John.
Well,
Oh.
I guess one thing I'd like to say before we talk about that, Mary, is just that Susan and I are only two of the people on the board, and we have a number of other people who are involved, and we have a lot of volunteers that will be helping us too. So if you see one of us at a concert or an open rehearsal and you're interested in helping out with us, please feel free to do so. But and this ties into the venue I'm looking forward to most is the Custom House. And the reason is that there are a lot of people in Newburyport, even though we've been around 20 years, that still don't know that we have a summer music festival. And what I'm looking forward to is just the people who are walking along, the rail trail there and
Yeah.
stopping and seeing and,
Yeah.
and listening, even if they're not paying to see the concert under the tent, they'll be able to hear it. And it's just going to be fun to have some of these people say, "Oh, I didn't know we did this. This is kind of interesting."
Yeah, wonderful. And if the flight of the bumblebee doesn't get your attention, nothing will. So, Susan,
Yeah.
how about you?
And I guess for me, I'm really looking, as I said before, forward to the Berg lyric suite. It's really unique. It's 12 tone, which I usually don't particularly understand, but David played it yesterday. A lot of the scenes of this love relationship gone wrong, and it's really fascinating.
Mhm.
The other one I think I'm interested in is the Penderecki, the Capriccio for tuba. He's an interesting composer, and Scott will be playing that as well.
Wonderful. Well, gosh, personally, I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it. And just as a reminder, all of the dates, all of the venues, and all of the agendas for what's being played in each of the concerts, as well as the panel discussions and the open rehearsals, all of that information is on your website. And John,
Newburyport Chambermusic.org.
there you have it. John and Susan, thank you both so much. It's been fun to have you on the show and to give us the inside scoop about what's upcoming for the Chamber Music Festival. So thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate it. You take care now.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mary.
Thanks,
Bye.
Mary. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks again. So now let's welcome our guests from Tinkerhaus. We have, let's see, I think we will have two people. Mary McDonald is here. Mary is the founding director of Tinkerhaus. Mary, hi, welcome. Thanks for coming. Yes. Are you unmuted? Hi. And is this Marcus or Eric?
Yes, this is Marcus.
Marcus Soule is the board president. So thank you both so much for coming. Really appreciate your being here. I drive by Tinkerhaus on Graff Road, and I've been curious, and I've been meaning to invite you on the show and say, what's Tinkerhaus? And so I'm really, really happy to have you here to explain it all to us. And in fact, the first thing I'd like to ask you is the name Tinkerhaus is what initially intrigued me. Could you tell us about the origins of the name Tinkerhaus and your mission?
Well, our mission is to bring the opportunity to make and create to everyone. But our name came by vote. We only had a very few people who were part of our group at that time, but we followed a lot of other maker spaces internationally, and we visited a lot of the more local regional maker spaces. And we knew that we wanted to use a word probably like tinker or something like that. We wanted it to be cute, but not too cute. the HAUS spelling seems to, I don't know, sort of give it a certain flavor. And so I don't know, I can't even remember what the other two options were now, but I think the Makery was another one. And so we just put it out to a vote, and it was very clear that everybody wanted Tinkerhaus and that we went with it. And then we very quickly grabbed a logo off of logojoy.com that was a toolbox with
Logo Joy, I
in the
like
shape
that.
of a house. So
Well, I like Tinkerhaus because Tinker is kind of sounds like fun. It sounds like play. And the house, Haus, reminds me of Bauhaus and sort of feels like it's in a craft tradition. So well done. I like it.
I'm sorry. One of the things that I think is so great accessible about the name also is that it's inviting, right? The idea of a
Yes.
house where you can come and make
Yes.
things.
Right.
And I think that really dovetails into the mission quite well.
Right.
We really see ourselves as a place where anybody can come and learn whatever skill they've been meaning to learn. And we've really been fortunate to ride a wave of making that's happened sort of because we, for the last 30 years, have been dismantling home ec and shop classes and things like that in a lot of places. And now there's this drive because making and creating is such a core human skill. And so it's just nice to be able to ride that wave and bring that type of thing back in whatever way we can to as many people as we can.
Oh, wonderful. You know, that's really interesting. I hadn't thought about that, Marcus, but there has been a diminution in the number of home ec and shop. Although, you know, when I was going to school, girls didn't have a choice. I would much rather have taken shop. I was never much good at sewing, but anyway, we took what we had at the
we
time.
can fix that.
What's that, Mary?
We can fix that.
Yes, absolutely. And so that is, if I'm understanding you, then that was part of the impetus to found Tinkerhaus when you did. The idea that there was kind of a deficit in terms of people having the opportunity to learn some of these making skills. And as you put it, was kind of a wave that you could surf on to try and fill in that deficit. Have I understood you?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a wonderful thing to watch the maker movement, which I'm not well versed in it, but a lot of people know Adam Savage from Mythbusters, and he's one of the big promoters of the maker movement and just such an inspiring human being. And he talks about how this is a core human skill, and we've been sort of denying each other this core thing, this creativity thing that we've been doing for centuries. So yeah, it's really riding the wave of acknowledgement that there's some part of us that we've been denying and that every human being feels fulfilled by participating in.
Well, that's really interesting. And I have to admit, I'm so glad to be talking to you about this because I hadn't thought about it before in the way that you're putting it, but it is kind of a fundamental human desire and I would say gratification to make things and to make them skillfully. So thank you for that. Really well put. Please tell us about your makerspace on Graff Road. You have workrooms and equipment and supplies, I know, for what kinds of crafts and construction and arts?
So we have 2,500 square feet, which is about half of what we actually need. We have an art classroom, which we're sitting in right now. We have a few other small rooms that we just move the furniture around for whatever we need them for. Then we have a good sized woodworking shop and a sewing room with a number of sewing machines in it. And then we also have a very small meeting space where about 6 people can sit around a table and either work on a project or plan something. We do a lot of collaboration with other organizations like Time Trade and Repair Cafe. And so we very often have people doing things from those organizations. So it's nice to have some space where people can just sit and meet and decide what they are going to make. We have a room that is set up with laptops on the tables and a screen on the wall. And we've done some digital design, and then we have some 3D printers. We would like to do a little bit more of that, but we need to get some more people up to speed on being able to sort of manage all of the parts to that. And then we'd like to add some more sort of high-tech things. We'd like to have a laser cutter engraver. They're expensive and they require venting, which we only have one window in our space. So, and you probably know our space because it used to be the Port Media.
Okay.
So the woodworking shop is where the television studio was.
Oh.
So that's the largest space. And the woodworking shop is very well outfitted. I've had lots of full-time woodworkers come in and be pretty impressed with what we've got. Nearly all of the tools that we have in there were donated, which was wonderful. But we did make the major purchase of a saw stop table saw, which is the safest table saw that you can have. We felt that having a new and very safe table saw was important. But lots of local people donated things that they just weren't using anymore, which has been wonderful. So we have a drill press and a bandsaw and chop saw and all of those things that you need, and lots of sanders and different kinds of sanders, different kinds of battery powered tools and charging stations and things like that. And that space has a big garage door that opens up into the parking lot. And, so we look out into the industrial park and also see lots of rainbows and beautiful skies over the beach. We see Mark Ritchie's windmill.
Which is a great treat after a hard day's making.
It is. And actually we keep the door open a lot in there. And we have other classes in that space also because it's large. And it also provided us with some good ventilation when we were just coming back from the pandemic.
Oh, wonderful. Well, it sounds like you have all kinds of equipment. I know you could always welcome more and could use a little more space, but it sounds like you are well equipped with all kinds of tools for makers to make all kinds of things. And that brings me to my next question. Who are the makers and what level of skill is needed, if any, to start?
This has been a fun thing to experience. I'm an educator. I teach high school. And so coming into a place like this and offering classes has been fascinating. So the first thing to know is that I think really you need no skill whatsoever to do any of this. Probably the biggest thing that we want to be is a catalyst to between people who want to make things and the ability to do so. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to lower that entry barrier. And so we get tons of people. In fact, my one thing that I just love so much is the number of people who come in to take we have an intro woodworking class where we just make a cutting board. But the people that come in are not the demographic I would have expected. So in particular, we have tons of classes with that include people of all ages, but especially women who say, when I went to high school, I was never allowed to take shop classes.
There you go.
Right. And they say, I've always wanted to do this. And I think that's, for me, that's the most affirming thing about this is that we're allowing barriers to be broken down. And this idea that there's any sort of the skills are tied to gender is ridiculous. And that we can break those down. So all skill levels are welcome from beginning to master. I would say what we offer sort of is more geared toward getting people in, learning a skill, starting them out like, I've always wanted to learn to make jewelry. Well, we have some intro jewelry making classes. I want to learn to use the wood shop. Well, I'll take intro to woodworking. And then as people start to develop those skills, then that's when we can provide them the space to do so. Because as it turns out, like with many crafts, the more deeply you get into it and the more mastery you have, the more specific your next skills are. And so offering classes at those higher level skill sets can be a challenge. So I would say that most of our courses are getting people in the door, giving them enough to get them started and to continue with the process,
Yes.
and then the space for them to grow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
that-
had one of the women who took our intro to woodworking class actually went on to take some classes at the New England Furniture Building School.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes, but now she's come back to take some other classes here because she's a hobbyist.
Oh,
She
so
likes
you're
to
a
find lots
gate,
of
you're
different
in part a gateway to,
Yeah.
to
Yes,
continue
and I
this
mean,
kind of-
we're pretty new, and so perhaps someday we could have these higher level classes, but for now this is about what we can manage and manage well. And it's a lot because you're taking people in, you're organizing the classes, and there's safety involved and there's materials involved. So being able to be on top of what you're doing is important.
Yeah.
So the idea of getting too carried away is not a good idea for us.
Yeah. There's a certain
safety-wise.
pace to your growth,
Yes.
in other words.
Mhm.
Well, you've mentioned introduction to woodworking and jewelry making. What are some of the other classes that you offer?
So during the school year, we have after school art club for kids. And because of the pandemic, many of those things were different in 2020 than they will be in this coming school year. But we were able to continue that because we kind of organized them around children who already were either in the same classroom at school or in the same neighborhood at home. So that was interesting. And they would come and I usually have it set up with stations. So it's not like a class that they'd have at school. We will gather together and maybe do like a directed drawing or a group project, but then I have stations around. Kids who like to sketch, I'll put out some things for them to sketch. Kids who like to build, I have pieces of cardboard and recyclables and cut off wood pieces that we collect up from the shop, and lots of masking tape and wood glue, and they build buildings and ice cream stands and castles and all sorts of things.
And in addition to those classes, we also are running one that's coming up actually in just a week. It's called In the Days of Nights, and you build
in the days of the nights.
in the days of
yeah.
where the students will build. Where students will build a castle and things like that. So we have children's programming and we have adult programming at night. So there's some adult classes, jewelry making, intro to painting, woodworking. We have, what other classes have we run?
Well, for kids, we've run intro to woodworking, and we've also run little one-off afternoons where they do a wood project in the shop. It's like 3 hours long. They actually come out with a really fun project. They learn some tool safety. We've done some intro to sewing and for kids. I hope that we'll be able to do that again this school year. We desperately need a lot of teachers because one teacher, almost everybody that teaches here has another full-time job.
Okay, yeah.
Many are volunteers. We don't have any staff. Everybody just comes in to teach their one class or their two classes. So we did have a lot of people that weren't able to work at all during the pandemic year because their work schedule had become so frenetic.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll be able to do that again. We've had intro to knitting for kids, and we are going to start with just one class and hope that that will segue into something. We've had a lot of seasonal events like come and make Valentine's and you keep some for yourself. And then we've made literally hundreds of Valentines to give to the memory care place up at the hospital.
Wonderful.
We've done lots and lots of winter holiday sorts of things. We've done, in the summer, we do week-long. So you come for the whole week and focus on one thing. We've done dollhouse camp a number of times, and we will do that again. You start with an unfinished dollhouse and you come out with a furnished and accessorized dollhouse with wooden people. So that's what we're going to do, the castle one coming up August 23rd. Instead of doing a dollhouse, you do a doll-sized castle. And so that will be a lot of fun. But also we'll do things like, you know, make trebuchets and catapults and you know, things like that.
Weapons.
Yeah. So we've done quite a lot of different things. We've had plant and gardening classes. We bring in people who have particular skills. We've had Betsy Williams, who a lot of people know, who's a plant and herb expert. We had Aaron, I won't be able to remember his last name, but he does pollinator gardens, you know, all sorts of things like that, where you're going to come in, learn a little bit of something, and then make something that goes along with that. We did household sewing and sustainable sewing. So you'd make a lunch kit, make napkins, make reusable cloth and mesh bags for produce to go to the grocery store, make grocery bags, make, you know, also that sort of thing. We are part of ACES and the environmental collective in town. And nearly everything that we use here is a recycled or repurposed material. Wonderful. I have several crafters who are like artisans who sell greeting cards or stationery lines or things that sewn home goods, and they donate fabrics and cardstock and stickers and all the trims and all of that sort of thing. And then we reuse all of that for classes here. Wonderful. And if there's anyone who wants to give us wood, we would be delighted to have
open.
Right now.
Well, gosh, you know, you clearly have something for everyone. And people just need to know that you're there and that it's an opportunity to teach for people with the skills, and it's an opportunity to recycle for people who have some of the equipment that you just named that you used. Now, I believe that you're participating in Yankee Homecoming, and could you tell us where people can, when and where people can find you as part of Yankee Homecoming?
Well, Tuesday we were at the craft fair all day, and we usually, when we do a booth at a festival, we are your interactive booth. So when your kids are tired of looking at other people's displays, you come to our booth and they can make something.
Better
so we
yet.
did artist trading cards on Tuesday, and it was so much fun, and we made a lot of good connections. And then tonight we're supposed to be in the bed race, so keep doing those sun dances.
Good luck. And we'll do the sun dance. So wonderful.
And yeah, so that's it for this year. We would have been at Family Day in the Park, but it's not happening this year. Yeah, our first year we had a booth downtown at Yankee Homecoming for the whole week, and that was not sustainable.
That's a lot of people hours.
It's a lot of people hours. Yeah. We run an outdoor 2 art classes every Wednesday during the summer on the rail trail for free. So yeah, we need to have our people actually out, you know, servicing the people that we claim to serve if we want to serve them. So
wonderful.
Yeah, and that's something that I want more people to know about, because it's been kind of strange. We did get a grant for materials from the Institution for Savings. And so I've started collecting a little bit of demographic information about who comes to our Art on the Rail Trail. And I'm getting people from Groveland and Methuen and all over the place. But our Newburyport numbers are still pretty low. And that's kind of surprised me. Last year, it was a very different story because we started doing outdoor class because we couldn't do indoor class.
Yeah.
And we were slammed because there was very little else going on. But this year, it's been a different story. And I think it's interesting. I do think it may be because we do actually have so much going on for kids in Newburyport.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Yes. Especially during
it's
the
not as
summer.
necessary.
Yeah.
But because it was free, I did really want to get the word out to people that, you know, if they need something for their kid to do and they can't afford to send them to camp, they should be getting in touch with us.
Well, and that leads to my next kind of question, which is please tell people where they can get information about the pretty amazing variety of classes that you offer for pretty much everybody and including kids. So how can people learn more?
So our website is www.tinkerhaus.org. We are a nonprofit.
And just a reminder, house is HAUS. I know we covered that, but just in case.
It's always a good reminder.
If they want to ask a question, they can email mary@tinkerhaus.org. And I'm pretty good about getting back.
Yes, you are. Having emailed you myself. Yes, you are.
And,
We have Facebook and Instagram as well.
We are a nearly daily poster on Instagram and a frequent poster on Facebook. I just recently started using Nextdoor with amazing results. So apparently a lot of people follow that. So I'll try to remember to do more of it, but I am a one-woman office here, so and I'm not young, so learning how to do all of these things has been a big big challenge.
Well, I'm sure that it has, and it is, but with wonderful results, because it just sounds spectacular to me, the range of things that you do and the range of people that are able then to become makers in your makerspace. So thank you, Mary and Marcus, so much for coming on the show and teaching us about Tinkerhaus and the fun of tinkering. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to learn more about it. And you're right out there on Graff Road. Is it number 3 Graff Road?
3 Graff Road. We're in Suite 11. So we are in the same plaza with the frame shop and Fitness Together and
the automotive glass place.
The auto glass place.
Auto glass place, yes. And so we're quite walkable, except that, you know, there is no sidewalk on our side, but if you're careful, and we are pretty close to the rail trail, and you know, we are walkable from 3 or 4 schools, which has been a nice thing. Once the kids get to be about 10 or 11, they can walk or bicycle.
Right. Well, thank you, Mary. Thank you, Marcus. It's really been fun to learn more about Tinkerhaus, and thank you for doing Tinkerhaus.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for. Sorry, did you, Mary? Were you saying something? I didn't want to. Okay. Thank you very much. That's it for today, everybody. Thanks for watching or listening. I hope you'll join us next Thursday at 9 on Channel 9 for the morning show. If you missed any part of today's show, it'll be available for viewing on Port Media's YouTube channel playlist for the morning show at ncmhub.org. Just click on the YouTube icon, then click on playlist and scroll down to the morning show. Each show will also air on WJOP FM 96.3 on Friday at 8 a.m. and again the following Tuesday at 4 p.m. and Wednesday at 3 p.m. and will also be available as a podcast on the SoundCloud. Just go to ncmhub.org and click on the cloud icon and scroll down. See you next week, everybody. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.